Good day, students. On this clip, we're going to be going over some examples on how to graph circles. So let's go ahead and write down the instructions for the problems and then go ahead and graph them. Okay, so the task is as follows. Find the center and radius of the circles with the given equations graph them, label, and state the domain and range. Okay. All right, let's take a look at the first example. Number one is x minus 2 square plus y plus 3 square equals 9. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and find the center and the radius. So to find the center, we know the center is h here, right? So to find the center, we take the opposite of the number next to the x. Opposite of -2 is 2. And then opposite of the number next to the y, opposite of +3 is -3. So there goes your center. Okay? Remember, this is h and this is k. All right, to find the radius, the number on the right, the constant on the right, you just simply take the square root, which equals 3. So what does this mean? This means that you're going to go 3 units in all directions, starting from the center. So just to keep things simple, we can go 3 units to the right, 3 units to the left, 3 units up. Do that again. 3 units to the left, 3 units up, and 3 units down, starting from the center, which is to -3. Okay. So now we're going to use this information to sketch our graph. All right. So we're centered on the fourth quadrant. So let's make that sufficiently large to accommodate the circle. So there goes my y-axis and my x-axis. All right, let's go ahead and label our axis. This is the y, and this is the x. Now, first thing we're going to graph is the center, okay? So the center is 2, -3. We're going to go on the x, 1, 2, and then go down 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's the center of the circle. So now we're going to graph the radius, which is 3 units in all directions. So let's just use north, south, east, and west for the sake of simplicity. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. And then 1, 2, 3 to the left. 1, 2, 3 down. And then 1, 2, 3 up. Remember, the definition of a circle is the locus of points equidistant from a fixed point. So this is a fixed point, and the points that are equidistant from this point right here is going to be 3 units in all directions. That forms your circle. Okay, so let's go ahead and draw the circle. And you have it. Just draw it as best as you can. All right, so we have to label our circle next. So to label our circle, I just need you to indicate the radius and the center. Okay. The line from the center to the circumference of the circle, that's known as your radius. Okay. So in this problem, the radius is equal to 3. Okay. If the radius is 3, know the diameter is going to be 6. So there goes the radius, and there's your center. All right. Okay. Coordinates of the center is 2 and -3. Now let's go ahead and find the domain and the range. Okay. The domain is your horizontal span. Okay. So we can look at this point and this point. Since we're looking at a horizontal span, we're going to project it on the x-axis. So if I trace this point to my x-axis, what is the value there? That's the left lower bound of my domain. And at this point, I'll trace it to the x-axis. What is the value? Okay. So if I take this, the leftmost point to my x-axis, this is -1. And if I take the rightmost point to my y-axis, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the width or the horizontal span of my graph. So my domain is going to be from the leftmost point, which is -1, less than or equal to, since we're going horizontal, is going to be x along the x-axis. That's less than or equal to 5. All right. For the range, we're going to be looking at the vertical span. How high can you go and how low can you go? All you just do is you take the top, the highest point and the lowest point. For domain, we did leftmost and rightmost point. Now we're going to use highest and lowest to find the range. Okay, you just take the lowest point, trace it to your x-axis, your y-axis, and then your highest point, trace it to your y-axis. What's the lowest point? What is the value here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the lowest point is -6 on the y, and highest point is 0. Okay, so our range is going to be from -6 less than or equal to y, since we're going along the y-axis, and that's less than or equal to 0. Okay, so remember, your y is for your range, to help you find your range, and the x is to help you find the domain. Okay, so there goes your answers. All right, let's try another example. Question number 2. So if we have the equation x squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 16. All right, so I need to place this in standard form first. I need a number to be subtracted from the x, but x is by itself. So what can I subtract from x without changing it? So I'm just going to subtract 0. X minus 0 squared. If there's no number there, you're going to subtract 0 because that doesn't change it. So it's y minus 1 squared equals 16. Okay. All right, so with that in mind, that tells me that the center, you take the opposite of 0, which is 0, and the opposite of 1, -1, which is 1. So the center is 0, 1. All right. Now that we know the center, the radius. The radius is going to be the square root of the number on the rightmost side. So the square root of 16 is 4. What does that mean? Well, it means that starting from the center, you're going to go 4 units to the right, 4 units to the left, 4 units up, and 4 units down. Okay? All right, so let's use this information to sketch our graph. So let's create our y-axis. We're in between the first and the second quadrant. All right, so there goes our coordinate system. This is your y-axis, and this is your x-axis. Okay, so starting from the center 0, 1, or the center 0, 1, we're going to go 4 units in all directions. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left. Okay, so these points define your circles. Not all the points, these are just 4 of the points that can guide our graph. Okay, let's go ahead and draw the circle. All right, so there you have it. Now what we're going to do is label our circle next. Okay, so just label the radius and the center. That's all you need to label. So this is the radius. The segment from the center to the circumference is known as your radius. So let's draw it and label it. So this is our radius, and the value is 4. Okay, I mean the length, sorry. And then this point right here, that's your center, and the center has coordinates 0, 1. Now, we need to find the domain of the range. So the domain, remember your domain is your horizontal span, right, of the graph. We're going to look at the leftmost point, which is this point, trace it to your x, And then the rightmost point, trace it to your x. Remember, x helps you find the domain, okay? So what point is this right here? 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes as far as -4 to the left. So -4 less than or equal to x. X is less than or equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to the right. Okay? And then for the range, we're going to be looking for the vertical span of the graph along the y-axis. So we're going to project the highest point to the y, which is already on the y-axis, and then the lowest point to the y-axis, which is already there. Okay? So let's find how low does the graph go. It goes starting from 0, as low as 1, 2, 3. So -3 is less than or equal to y. Less than or equal to going up from the center. How high does it go? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and there goes the range of your graph. All right, moving right along. All right, so for the next question, it's going to be slightly different. So what we're going to do, let's write down the instructions for that first before we start solving it. So the instructions are as follows. This is for number 3. Let's put the equation of the circle in standard form. Find the center and radius graph and state the domain and range after labeling. Okay, after labeling. All right. Now, the equation is that we're going to work with is x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y minus 3 equals 0. Okay? Now, what form is this? This form of the equation of a circle is known as the general form. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to change this form into the standard form. Okay? So how do we do that? Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to collect the x's and the y's together. And then we're going to put the foreign body of the constants on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna collect x squared and 4x. Put them together, minus 4x. And then next I'm going to collect my y and 6y. I'm going to put them close next to each other on the same side of the equation. So plus y squared plus 6y. And then this -3, I'll toss it over to the other side. How do you move it over to the other side? You do the opposite, you just add 3. Okay? And now equals 0. Equals 3. All right? Now we have the x's together, the y's together, and a constant on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete the square in the x and the y world. So to keep things separate and neat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to partition my variables, okay? I'm going to break it down behind the sign like this. And what we have is we have the x world right here and we have the y world. I want to complete the square in both worlds, okay? So in the x world, we have, this is a, the coefficient of a, which is 1, and then this is b, okay? And then this is a, this is b. If you want to complete the square, the coefficients of the squares must be 1. All right, so let's start with the x. So the b for the x world is what? Is -4. How do you complete the square? Divide by 2, which gives you -2, and then you square it. So b over 2 squared completes the square. So -2 squared equals 4. So this number helps me create a perfect square trinomial here. So I'm going to have on the left side x squared minus 4x plus 4. Okay? So we have a perfect square trinomial here by design. And on the right side, we need a b for the y. What is the b for the y? Is the coefficient of the first degree of the y term. So first degree y term, which is 6. So you see this is b. So b of the y equals 6. What do I do with that? I divide it by 2. It yields 3. And I square it. That's 9. So that helps me create a perfect square trinomial on the y world if I add it. Okay, if I add this 9 there. So let's go ahead and do that. So I have y squared plus 6y, and then I'll add this 9. Okay, so now I have a perfect square trinomial in the y world. All right. Now, since I added 4 and 9 to the left side to preserve equality, I have to add 4 to the right, and then I also have to add 9 to the right because I added a 4 and a 9. Okay. Now we're going to use a factoring trick to factor this perfect square trinomial on the left. So the trick is I'll just read the first term and the last term, and then bring down the middle sign. Okay. So if I do that, I'm going to end up with x minus 2 quantity squared plus. Same story with the y's. I read the y's, the first and the last, and then I'll bring down the middle sign. Okay. So in that case, I'm going to have y plus 3 quantity squared. And if I add 3, 4, and 9, I'll get 16. So there goes your equation in standard form. Okay, so x minus 2 squared plus y minus 5 plus 3 squared equals 16. Okay, now that we have the equation of our circle, we're going to find a center. The center is hk. We'll do the opposite of the negative 2, which is 2, and the opposite of the positive 2, which is negative 3. And then the radius is simply the square root of 16, which is 4. And that basically means you're going to go 4 in all directions. 4 units up, 4 units down, 4 units to the right, 4 units to the left, all starting from the center. Okay. So let's go ahead and graph that. So to graph that, I'm going to draw a coordinate system. There goes your x coordinate, there goes your y coordinate, and there goes your x coordinate. So we're going to graph 2, negative 3, 1, 2, and then go down 1, 2, 3. So from there, I'm going to go 4 units in all directions. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units up, down. And then to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now I'm going to draw my circle. All right, now let's go ahead and label that. The radius in the center is all I need you to label for this, for the notes. So here is your radius, and the length is 4. And then there's your center, and then the coordinates are 2, negative 3. Okay. All right. Now I need to state the domain and the range. The domain. Remember, the domain is your horizontal span of the graph. So how far to the left does the graph go? It goes as far here to the left, so we trace that to the y-axis, x-axis, sorry. That's the leftmost point, and then the rightmost point is this point right here. Just trace it to your x-axis. All right, so 1, 2, negative 2 is the leftmost point. So negative 2 less than or equal to x, since we're going along the x-axis, and that's less than or equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, less than or equal to 6. All right, and then for the range, we're going to be going up and down for the range. So starting from the center, how low can you go? As low as this point right here. So how low is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 points. So from negative 7 as the lowest point, that's less than or equal to y. And then the highest point is the highest point on the graph traced to your projected to your y-axis. So right there. Our value is that 1. So it goes as high as 1. Okay, less than or equal to 1. So there goes your domain and your range. All right? So there you have it. So thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please feel free to subscribe to my channel just by clicking up here. More videos can be found on myTrU3L4.com. Thanks again and have a wonderful day.